Hello and welcome to this very special session that we are holding under Techno Talks, a special series that has been launched by the Economic Times today. I am Gauri Dwivedi, Senior Editor with the Economic Times, and I have the pleasure of hosting two very eminent speakers today in the first session of the Techno Talks. These series is aimed at decluttering technology and the power of technology to transform businesses. The endeavor is to get eminent speakers and talk about the kind of processes, technologies, and trends that one is seeing right now in terms of the transformation that is taking place for small businesses, medium-sized businesses to adapt to the technological change as they try and keep pace with the world around them. And today, in the first session, we have Mr. Kapil Mehrotra, who's the Group CTO of Dhanuka Agritech, and Mr. Vinod Khore, who's the CIO at Varroc with me today. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me today in the very first session of the Techno Talks.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Great. This session is also being live streamed on our various platforms. And while we talk about the several specific aspects of process automation for medium-sized and small-sized businesses, I'll also try and rope in as many questions as I can to make this session engaging as well as interactive for our viewers as well. So first up, a quick introduction of both the speakers. Mr. Mehrotra is as I said, Group CTO of Dhanuka Agritech. He brings with him about 25 years of experience in cybersecurity, IT consulting, digital strategy, BFSI, and healthcare. He recently joined Dhanuka Agritech a couple of months back and is responsible for innovation, IT strategy, infrastructure, and cybersecurity. No mention of Mr. Mehrotra is complete without mentioning that he's also a fitness freak and is wanting the entire CIO community to also raise the bar, so to say. Welcome, Mr. Mehrotra, to this discussion. And Mr. Vinod Khore is the CIO at Varroc, and he's responsible for strategizing and introducing new advanced IT technologies and is striving to develop creative solutions as well. He has an illustrious career of over 30 years, and he's held important positions across various important companies, the last of which was before Varroc. He was with Cummins for 15 years, consulted companies like KPIT, ADCC, HCL, amongst others as well. He's also a Six Sigma Green Belt and a Six Sigma sponsor. That's important to point out in terms of certifications. And thank you so much, Mr. Khore, for joining us. The topic today, as I said, is about process automation, or how transformation can take place, if at all there is automation of processes by companies. Several sectors, of course, are harbingers of change. Auto being one of them. Auto components and auto industry typically has been the early mover, so to say, in terms of embracing technology. And that has had a down the stream impact on some of the other sectors who've also then adapted to technology, seeing the kind of transformation that auto components and auto companies have had. I request you to take us through your experiences in terms of how you've seen process automation evolve and change companies, their processes, their efficiency, how business has actually transformed when they've been able to adapt to the latest technological trends. I believe we also have a couple of slides for our viewers to see, and invite you to then take the floor.
Okay, sure. Thanks for giving this opportunity. So I think before I jump into the slides and what I wanted to say, I think it's important to know that automation has already become part of our life. We like it or we don't like it, it's something that we have to adapt to. So if you are booking your flight ticket, your phone knows that when is your flight and it starts giving you a reminder. And all those who have your smartphones, it is also giving you a reminder that whenever you switch off your alarm in the morning, It tells you that, okay, how much time it would take today to your work in terms of commute and what is your calendar schedule. So these automations are now already built into things that we have on our hand and on our body. And this is how I think the world is going to go. So I'm going to share some screen. I'm just trying to share my screen. Okay, Pooja, can you help me to see if I have the rights to share? Okay, I think this is some glitch I was earlier able to see, uh, but Pooja, I don't think I have the rights to share the screen. So do you want to switch to another session and then I come back again and I just talk about our journey and then I can, whenever the screen sharing is there, I can share
Okay.
those examples.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we will come to the slides in just a bit. That's okay. But quick opening comments as we talk about process automation, and then I get in Mr. Mehrotra as well. And in the meantime, we'll fix the PPT bit.
Sure. So I think, yeah, it started working. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just quickly jump into what Varrock has done. Just starting with this message that I personally like about from Tim O'Reilly, that it's imperative that every organization has to start the transformation and start adopting to this change, which is much bigger than what we have seen so far. And with what has happened in the last 6 months with advent of Chat GPT, this topic about AGI, the AI, general AI, which was available to a select few earlier, is now in hands of common man. And the art of possibility is known to everybody. So I think the automation is going to play a bigger role as compared to what it was doing earlier because of ChatGPT. Now, there are some stats. I just wanted to show that there are about 36% of the organization who are already onto this bandwagon, and 50% of the business leaders are planning to, automate most of the repetitive tasks. And I think this is the key word, repetitive. Anything which is repetitive and is predictive, it's a very stable process, can be easily automated using frugal tools. And I'll give some examples about it. So how did we in Varrock try to do it? So when 2020, we put a strategy, we, as a part of the executive team, we did realize that we have to automate. And 2020 being a year of COVID, we also felt the pinch of trying to do more with less people. And automation came as a natural thing. So we put it as a part of strategy and said we'll start working on it. So identify what we need to do and start working on it. So it's important that you need to have a top-down approach where you have a blessing of the organization. Otherwise, whatever you try to do becomes academic. Now, we not only we did use the RPA, but we also identified a low-code solution, which is quite favorite for people to do their automation because it doesn't, need a server-side coding and less downtime. You don't need additional servers. So in our case, Office 365 was already rolled out. Everybody was using. So we used the Power Automate or Power Platform to start working on some of the ideas and bring that culture. Like you would have to develop the culture and set example that what does automation really means and how what is the art of possibility. So best thing we did was IT eating their own dog food. We automated our process of project tracking so that we can give an example to the organization is how it can be done. So people like earlier they used to send emails for a new project. Now they are filling up a form which triggers an alert to a respective person. The project gets started, the project's health and the status gets updated automatically without anybody has to create a presentation. Earlier, that's what we used to do. That every Friday somebody will do additional work and send out the update. It's automatically going through the application based on the status put in by the IT project manager. So this, by doing this, we set an example which was picked up by our corporate civil team, whose job was to do the civil work and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing for all this 30 plus location that Varroc has in India, and then about 15 more location outside India. So they were trying to do all of this on Excel sheet and email, which was, quite painful and not the best way of managing the work. But when they saw that IT can manage their project, they said, this is also project. So why can't you develop something for us? So we developed and automated so we eliminated their Excel sheet and paperwork. And it has been, so why this can be called as an application, but it also has a lot of workflow for approvals and all. So all of that has been automated, and now they have an easy way to do their work. This is one example. There's another example from sales team, that all the RFQs that they get, they have to intimate a lot of people, like the R&D needs to know, the finance and the costing team needs to know. So they upload this, it gets dissipated automatically, the alert goes whenever the respective team takes the action, the alert comes back. So this whole workflow automation has been done. I think it is being used by the sales and business development team. And now we are also trying to go next level is the project, the PLM solution and the CRM, which will roll out, will supersede it. And all of this, what we have learned, will be inbuilt in those. Now, with this done, then the HR came and said, we want to automate our process of collecting the recognition, reward and recognition nomination, and then, letting people know that your project has been selected. So that got automated. And, all of this got done in-house at zero cost to Around, because we already had all the infrastructure. And again, I think this is one more example of chatbot. So on your Teams, which is Microsoft Team, is quite popular, and everybody is doing their collaboration within the organization using Teams. But here, what we have done, we have taken the HR manual and used it, fed it to the machine learning algorithm on the Azure bot, and it had extracted the crux of it. And if somebody, as you see, if somebody has tried that, okay, what is the holiday policy and the leave policy, it will take out something and show the relevant. Checks out and says that, okay, all this data is right, the rates are right, and the PO numbers, all of this mistakes which were being made while the supplier was giving the invoice are eliminated at the day one on the gate itself, and not found out after 45 days when the payment date arrives. So I think this is already being rolled out to 16 plants, and it's working pretty well. And it has, created a lot of efficiencies, reduced the error, and also directly impacted the cash flow of, send you're not paying more or less to a vendor. And they are getting paid at the right time because of all this. So this is again the same thing. I'll skip this. And the last one I wanted to talk about is an automation where actually I'll show you a video where a dispatch activity at a typical plant has to be completed in a stipulated time, because the truck which is sent by the OEM as a milk run has to be loaded and released as quickly so that it is ready to go to the next vendor like us. So this is one of the big OEM which wanted this time reduction, and we created a bot which does a certain set of activity which was done by a human being. What you see in the screen is being done by a bot. We have purposely reduced the speed of the bot so that we can capture the video, but we can speed it up much more. And I won't run the whole video, just to give an example. This is the activity a person was doing day in, day out, being done by a bot. So now he's free to focus on other things, making sure the truck is loaded properly, the quality of the packing slip and all. Earlier, he was not getting time to do all that. So he presses the button. While this completes, he does his activity of loading. And now he can do more. more work in the less time. So I think these are the ideas I wanted to show just to get the discussion started and give the audience a glimpse about what is the art of possibility. So I'll stop sharing and hand over to Gauri.
Thank you for that, Mr. Kore, and I'm going to come back with some questions on
Sure.
those slides in a bit. But I want to now rope in Mr. Mehrotra as well, to talk about the specifics as far as process automation is concerned. Just like Mr. Koresh did share some examples of companies, of specific situations as to how process automation really made overall business efficiency much better. Would you like to start with some specific examples or any particular opening comments that we can start this with and then move on to specific questions?
Yeah, sure. So it's very interesting. Is I'm audible, clearly audible?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So Mr. Vinod shared a lot of insight about what he has done. And I will touch upon like why we are looking for the automation because, entire world is getting digital. There are a lot of small companies, they are basically scaling up. If you talk in India, still it's a very big market where like lot of companies, they have to digitize themselves and automate the processes for the better efficiency. And whenever we talk for the automation, so there are certain pointers we have to keep in our mind. One is, why do we need automation? What is the main objective of that? It's just like somebody said that we want to, or Chinese are doing it, Japanese are doing it. We have to do that also. Is that the only thought? See, every automation has certain objectives. Definitely cost saving. That is one factor. And second one is the bigger one, efficiency improvement. Whenever we talk for the efficiency improvement, so how are you looking at efficiency improvement? Are you really focusing on the production or more output, or you want to reduce the cost of manpower? What is your objective? I mean, you should be very clear. See, most if I tell you the figures, that will give you amazing insight about that. 40% automation only succeed in India. 60% get fails. We are over engineering it. Something can be worked easily, but we are still over it because underlying infrastructure is not supported. People are not adaptive, not flexible, right? So you have to look at 360-degree view all automation. It's not automobile. You have just engineered something and it's going in the right direction. But other side is users, are they really accept that engineering, automation, what you are offering? Is India market is for them? Is the segmented audience, is you going to use that, right? All those things you have to keep in the aspect. Bringing innovation in automation is easy. It's easy to deliver, but adoption is definitely one of the questions, plus definitely cost. The more engineering you do, your cost of the product will go higher. So my thought is you have to focus on the efficiency. You have to focus on the faster processing. You have to focus on the 24/7 operation and analytic collection. So see, that is more important. If I do automation, if I'm not doing analytics, I'm not running analytics at the back end, what is the output? What is kind of, issues are coming? What kind of, segments are you? Let's take an example of any beverages going in the market, right? So they are very clear which market is picking up, which is not picking up, right? And they are focusing towards that. Which age factor guys, they are focusing on those progress. Same thing. And how they are collecting these information, they are collecting information from the analytics. So analytics is also one of the field of this automation. So, and another aspect is improvement of accuracy. How accurate you want that to happen. Sometime we live with it. Some of the product, eatable product, wherein scientifically there is a proven method says you can live with the insects inside the wheat 6%, which is okay. Human bodies can easily accept that. And but still people are basically going beyond that also. Same, there are products which are available which kids like it, where there is a lead, right, which goes inside the body, say 6%. So but that's what I'm talking for. Similar engineering, whenever we do, similar automation in a financial sector, HR sector, what is the digestion capacity they have? Are they having the 100%? I can't believe. People will not change himself. They don't change their style. So organization will divide into 60%, 40%, and which will take a lot of time, and you maybe fail because you have given the best of the best product, best of the best automation to them, but still they are not adopted. Another angle which I want to bring in, that's a productivity. See, everything boils down to the productivity. Your boss will definitely question what is the productivity, how much you have improvement by this automation, what is your commitment? I'm okay to invest in this. We can basically rope in into the champions and the business stakeholders, sponsors for this project. But how you are going to measure? Are you doing the robotic automation or you are doing the manual automation, which will be improve some productivity? How are you going to measure about those productivity? Earlier, what was that? So again, the data, you will be rely on data. And certainly there is another angle which is coming in, which is very, very serious angle, which can basically set all the balls rolling instead of stopping. That's your compliance and reduction of errors. Because if I'm launching a product in the market and that's not complying it, as I give an example of a lead, and I can give them 1,000 examples of the automobile do's and don'ts and safety regulations. If we are not following that, immediately your product will stop, and people will not appreciate that. So that is what is more important is you have to comply and you have to commit to the users how much reduction of errors you are doing it. Another angle which is very important is customer satisfaction. Reason is because this product is ultimately going to use by set of the people or maybe end user, anyone else. So satisfaction level should be very high. There is a no compromise. If you are in the service industry, your customer satisfaction is a top priority, 100%. There is a no 99%. If you are in a data center, so we always commit 99.9% commitment to what we are running. Similarly, if we are in a product or services, there has to be commitment, and that should be very high. And one last comment which I want to make it, the standardization. See, there are so many specs are available. Even one product, one services you are basically developing, offering, manufacturing. There's so many specs are there. Which specs is more compliant? That you have to see that. And how we can maintain the standardization all across. That is one of the very important factors. Generally people miss it. If I'm a software guy, so I miss, okay, I can use 10 technologies, right? But bringing 10 technologies, different resources, again, it's a challenge. And maintaining them for a longer period, it's again a challenge. So you have to look at for some kind of technology which can basically give a neutral platform standardization across the life cycle of the software, so that like tomorrow you need some upgrades, easily you can do that. So low code, no code is one of the things. Generative AI is another one. Cloud is another one. So people are going for it because to have the standardization across. So these were few thoughts for my opening remarks. I think like we will get into more use cases and details later. Over to you.
Thank you for that very exhaustive set of comments from both of you. And in fact, questions are already coming in. And I want to address some of them because otherwise, due to paucity of time, what happens is sometimes we push them to the end of the conversation and then there's just not enough time. Okay, so Mushtaq has said that how will SMEs reduce cost and improve efficiency by automation? I believe that's really the crux of the whole issue, that how is it that technology adoption can be increased from SMBs, given the fact that they've not been able to adapt to technology so easily? And that's a question I asked to both of you. Mr. Kode, to you first, and then Mr. Mehrotra. How do you get to the stage of greater technology adoption from SMBs?
I think not just for SMBs, everybody. How do we? I think
the question is for SMBs. That's why I said the question that has come in is for SMBs. Yeah.
Right. So in general, if you talk about how do we increase the adoption of automation, I think Kapil has already alluded to it that it cannot be force fit. You don't, also try to over automate something which can be done easily. So it has to, you give the flavor of what is automation and let the organization embrace it. Let it come realistically. That he talked about the cost and the technology and all, because there is a cost to creating an automation and also maintaining it and people and all. And we have gone through all that 9 years of that. But what we have done, we never force fit anything. We have just presented the ideas and let the business community come back and ask us that, okay, can you do this for us? And we would ask in return that, okay, how do you think? What is the control plan to make sure that this will continue? What is the cost saving that you are going to achieve? Is it repeatable in nature? And only after this governance that we have put in place, we qualify a process that, okay, this can be automated or we just leave it as it is. There is a governance mechanism that we have, because without governments we'll end up a number of automation because it's easy to create, and it will be a chaos. The other thing I will also like to add to what Kapil said is, along with all of this, there's one more aspect which has to be very clearly laid out and looked at, is the security. Because once you automate something, you have put a bot inside your organization who has access to your finance. It can go and log into some other place and look at your emails. And if somebody hacks into it, then they have a free access to everything. And the bot is doing, nobody knows about it. So the government and security is something that has to be done. But to answer the question, I think the best way to do is to give examples, have roadshows, let it sink into the organization, and I'm very sure they'll come back and ask for, can you automate this, because we think this is something that's going to give us a value. Over to you. Kapil, you can add something.
Yes, Mr. Mehrotra, you want to add something to it? Because then there's another question that's come in from Mr. Arun as well. I'll take that later, but yes, go ahead.
Okay. So there is an interesting saying is called fail fast and fail safe. So if, that's what is my comment on the SMB segment, wherein SMB generally they are very neck to neck, competition they are having, whatever the product manufacturing they are doing it. The problem is that if they not basically bring the innovation technology immediately, so they will fail. Because the formulas, the kind of innovation in manufacturing, automobile, and such kind of products they have, it's coming up like anything. So you should not wait. You should basically innovate something, maybe fail, but you have to have the digestion of that capacity to fail safe. That much you can digest, so that you can create the buzz and you can immediately launch a rectified product. I will like to give example wherein the question is very valid, like what they have to do. I mean, because there are so many things are happening. So SMB segment, where they have to basically choose the technology in a very right manner, have the digestion capacity, and do some innovative ideas where they can basically take the lead quickly and launch something. And adoption and the training is very, very essential, because sometimes you are launching a product, there is no training, then again is the adoption becomes an issue. So focused on uh, a, a group of a set of audience, so that like you can easily uh, uh, introduce your product and you can quick win. And in case you are failing, so basically you can control the damage and you can reintroduce something and you can innovate better. So that's what is my comment is on that.
Okay, so Mr. Arun has now said that while organizations develop/introduce business automation tool, as rightly said by the presenter, adoption is a challenge. And it goes on to say, I personally believe that organizations should have implementation team with the mandate of getting these implemented. Do you believe organizations give due importance in forming such teams? I guess the question really talks about how do you get the implementation through? There may be a willingness, there may be an initiative, but what about the process of execution? I think that's really what the question focuses on.
Can I take up this maybe?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Malhotra. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, and that's very interesting and very valid. Uh, Now these days, there is a process which is introduced called Scrum Master and Agile methodology. Okay, you should not worry about the adoption and all of this. You first of all, what you have to do is what Agile said, what Scrum Master said was like break into the pieces of entire requirement, right? And you can, let's say you want to roll out pan India, you're global. So first of all, you have to identify the set of people, mature people, where you can easily talk in your language, which they can understand. So instead of rolling out 100% all over India, pan India or global, you first of all target to one area and launch it and wait for the
So
succeed.
basically, start with pilots and then scale up.
Exactly. That's what is agile is. You fail, then you fix, and then you introduce. So that way is like you can grow and you will be very confident and adoption you can develop. Then you can have an example with you. South Valley log, they are using it. So North Valley, why they can't use it? So what is your challenge? You let us know, right? We can basically have the right use cases and you can influence your management also along with it so that they can come forward and they can ask, they can question across for the adoption, right? And the success ratio of that automation, what you have done it there. So that ways you can succeed easily. So agile is one of the things which you always keep in the mind, and small piece introduction or use case will be best case for adoption.
Mr. Corey, you want to add something to it?
Yeah, just a practical aspect to it, and exactly what Kapil has said, that the example that I showed about AP automation, the first attempt that we did failed, but we have put in everything together, but then adoption was poor. And then we did a workshop of the people, we had a pilot identified, and we found out what's going wrong in terms of architecture, the execution speed, some irritations which were there. And once we brought in the inputs from the people who are actually going to use it, that made a difference. And then we also started doing something simple as that, okay, this has to be automated, because what we have done is the GRN process in SAP itself is automated. So the bot is doing it for you. So we started tracking how much of that is being done manually in SAP and how much is being done through this tool. And I think that tracking and bringing in the voices of the people who are actually going to use in the trenches, that helped a lot. And we then did a relaunch. So we started with two plants, and then now we are at 16 plants, but it took a journey of 1.5 years. One more thing which Kapil said, we had over engineered it. So we said we are not going to use it for every invoice. Any invoices which has ASN, we don't need to do it. It's already, all the data is already there. The data has been sanitized when the supplier went on our supplier portal, put in his invoice, we already sanitized the data. So we are doing it for those smaller supplier who don't have ASN capability. And so we did a little bit of less engineering to it, and that made it successful.
Okay, two questions. One specifically addressed to Mr. Kore that I'm going to ask first. That's from Raghavendra. And then I'll take the next question. That's from Prashant. Okay, so Raghavendra asks you, Mr. Kore, that can you throw some light on typical bottlenecks to process automation using IT and how how were they overcome?
So I think the typical bottleneck, some of which Kapil already talked about, is uh, overthinking of trying to implement automation on everything. It's important to identify what are the processes which can be automated. The thumb rule which has been there from our experiences and all other people's experiences, a process which is stable and it has a good volume and we are spending a lot of human hours on it, so it's executable, it's repeatable, it's predictable, is a good candidate for automation. Whether using low code or using RPA, these are the good candidate. And also it also need to remember that you're going to invest in the technology. So you're actually hiring a person. The bot is a person who is available 24 hours. Okay. He's going to do things for you. If you invest and use it for only one use case, you're leaving money on the table. So you need to have a bunch of examples where you can keep the bot busy, because the bot runs so fast that it is able to do somebody's task which probably takes 1 hour in maybe 3-4 seconds. That is the efficiency. So you need to have good amount of a critical mass of examples, and you need to also have identify these processes, and then again run through it. You have to give time. And as Kapil said, one of the success factor that we thought that the process owner who was actually asking and his team, as in the scrum, it defined that the process owner needs to be part of the scrum processes. So we did that, and that helped a lot in the adoption and making sure that it gets used and it doesn't die down after somebody Six Sigma is completed and then the person leaves. Usually the project dies. So it becomes what we also tried to ensure. We built a control plan and made it as a part of a documented standard operating procedure of the organization. So even if a person leaves, the SOP gets followed because it's an audited process. Okay. Kapil, you want to add?
Yeah, I want to
Right.
add
But
this.
I have several more questions. I'll come to this.
Okay.
This conversation on technology anyways goes only one way, which is that, technology can replace people. And the non-tech person really has to wonder then what are they going to do 10 years down the line? Anyways, there is a question from Prashant and there's a question from Arun. Let's take them one at a time. One is that popular tools, and I think that's something that many people would want to know, and those who are watching this do want to. That which are the popular tools, popular technology, software that can be used by companies for automation, Mr. Mehrotra?
Okay, so there are so many tools, and it depends on your usage, your company, your budget, and there are open APIs are also there, and there is a one very good generative AI is coming up, one shot, which is just picking up. I mean, it's like a chat GDP. They are doing it. So see, I don't want to negative comment on anything, but chat GTP is the more buzz. And generative AI is the only way like people can basically grow more. So OpenAI is one company. Similarly, if you find go to the internet, you can find thousands of the open sources, open AIs are available. One of the example which I want to give for just to address this forum is see one of the meeting where like one of the consultant came. My despite having me there, like sometimes companies they go beyond my because they think so like couple is having a limited mindset. So let's explore open market. What is also outside available there? Many couple is not reaching there. We'll educate couple and then couple will. This is what is like some kind of innovative companies they are looking for it. So we had that kind of conversation and we looked for some consultant. And I'm giving you a very interesting use case. This will be clear lot of doubts. So what happened is like this consultant came and created a panic. Like if you bring the chat GDP or Bird or whatever, they will basically change the face of a company and they will reduce the manpower. They will build the accuracy and delivery timeline, so and so. So everybody was in the team, everybody in a board board meeting, like they were surprised what is gonna be happening. And then this conversation finished, and then they came to me, is it possible? Is this true? See, then I give the example. Okay, let's write a letter. So how much time you write a legal letter? He said, I need 6 to 7 days to draft a one agreement, right? Where I can go for a 2, 3 iteration and all. I said, okay, it's the same letter we can go on a type with the help of generate through ChatGPT, and it took just 3 minutes of it, 3 minutes of it, right? And then we gone through the handwritten letter and the letter what ChatGPT is written. There was 60% content was covered by just writing a phrase. I said, you how many letters you were writing in a month, agreements you were writing in a month? He said like around 200. And then every agreement was piling it up for the next 3 or 4 months. I said, if you can take the help of a generative AI, which can basically help you to draft a clear letter, 60% if it is coming from there and 40 you added. So a day means 200 letter, you can easily write it without piling it up. Are you going to lose the job? No. You are building the efficiency. So you have to energize these kind of products in the right direction. You have to build the right use case. Don't threat. They are they are for the betterment. There is nothing because people have created a panic. You will lose the job. You will lose that. If you look at the world, what they are basically doing it, the people those are losing the job. They were the creator, and there was specific set of the people like call center people. There they have introduced the bots, right? That is why, like some kind of, yeah, so people are taking in a one shot. Okay, everybody is losing the job. Maybe future will lose the job. It's not that because we are trying to improve the efficiency of the organization. And second thing is everybody try to understand. I take further 1 minute to explain this. See, the biggest mistake what people are doing is everything they're comparing with the open world data which OpenAI has. What OpenAI does it, they basically collated entire world Google index in their server in one location. Not only Google, Yahoo, and other engines, whatever the engine. And they created an OpenAI which says is okay, we have a data till 2021, which will give you some kind of. But I'm asking a question to entire audience. Let's say your financial CFO is asking with the operation head, how X organization will double fold in how many years? Are you going to use the world information or are you going to use the data what you have inside your organization, which can tell you, try to understand, right? There is a big difference, huge difference. Are you trying to understand what I'm saying is every time we compare the world data is not going to solve your business issues. That will help you. This may be like this. Okay. You have to nurture, you have to build your own database, which can tells you, okay, this is the trend you follow. This is the predictions you are asking. This is the parameter you are looking for. Basis on that, this will be the output. And for that, please use these tools, effort, energy, and develop a set of, information. So there is a no threat. Please mind it. Over to you, Gauri.
Yeah, that's the most important takeaway for, as I said, non-tech people like me. No threat. That's all.
No threat.
That is the single biggest takeaway for me. But very important insights that are coming out from this discussion. And in fact, there are more questions specifically on ChatGPT that was mentioned, which is that its usage and use case pertinent to the retail industry. Retail industry could be really. It could see a major change with the usage of ChatGPT. The personalization could have an impact. And do you think that could be a big area, Mr. Kore, where ChatGPT could play a major role?
Yeah, I think not only just retail, it can be the limitation is us and our imagination. As the example given by a couple, that you can use it to write letters and reduce the time it takes so that you can do more letters in the same time and with more efficiency, and you spend more time to focus on the quality of the content than in trying to solve a big heap of work that is on your table. So it's similarly in case of retail as well. There are many use cases which are there, which is going to make it possible for to make the sales go up in the retail side by infusing this technology inside the tools which are available now. For example, you somebody is going to Amazon or Flipkart and all, and you, as Kapil said, the information of the organization is with you. The world's data is not going to solve a problem. Amazon has a rich set of data, which I'm probably very sure that they're already working on it, is that they are going to use that data about the behavior of the people, and they can predict that, okay, after doing this person is going to, start looking for this item, and this is based on their previous behavior, and they're going to throw this out to this. Or as a user, I go to Amazon, I'm very confused what to buy, and I said to Amazon that, Amazon, I'm just going for a vacation and I'm going to a beach, and it has this, what should be my shopping list? And there you go, Amazon will help you, and the retail industry is now getting, somebody is trying to do that marketing for you instead of you doing it yourself. So I think the whole world is going to change, because this AGI type of thing is going to get infused in all the product that we are going to get. And I think the analysis says that about by 2025, at least 75% of the application, this is Gartner's prediction in January 2023, that 75% of application that are going to come out by 2025 will have this automation already built in inside the tool to help you do this type of thing. So yes, I think this is going to not just retail, but every industry, like you trying to book a ticket, it is going to help you in different ways that you cannot imagine.
As there are more questions that are coming in. There is a question from Varang Ghai who has asked this to both of you. But I want to, before I take those questions, I want to first ask, and this is a question that's important as we talk about the next changing scenario as far as technology landscape is concerned. I ask you that what do you think could be the next important technology that SMBs or medium-sized companies will have to embrace in their technology journey? And that I think could be important from a learning point of view for promoters, for small companies to understand that technology is a long learning curve, which could be the next important step for them as they embrace automation. And that's a question I ask both of you, Mr. Mehrotra, Mr. Khode, both of you. Please go ahead.
Mr. CTO would like to go first.
Yes, please go ahead.
Vinod, you can take up. No issues.
Okay, sure. So I think that the next big thing, see, this nobody saw this coming in a big way, although there was some indication about the AGI, the OpenAI trying to do. We have been reading about it, but then it's going to change, and such a big adoption in a very small time. 2 billion, I think, Kapil, if I'm right, in 1 month's time they hit the 2 billion mark, which has not been done by any product so long. So I think there are going to be game changers around it, because this has opened the door of possibilities, not only for the AGI sort of tools, but for all of them. Like talk about the automation based on the vision, like how we see it. I was looking at a TED talk yesterday where this thing that we have been carrying in our pocket, the phone, is going to get redundant, because the phone is going to be built inside your clothes, in your pocket, in your pen, and what you see from your specs is going to be what the phone is seeing, and it is constantly going to give you a feedback. Not when you ask, you're trying to shop something. I know Kapil is a big enthusiast. When you buy a food, he'll be looking at, and he's looking at his calories and all. So when you look, when through your eyes, when you look at it, it will automatically give the feedback that, okay, don't buy this, has too much, sugar in it, and it's not good. So I think these are the things which are going to change, but the open AI is something which is going to affect all technologies and all the skills which are available are going to impacted by that. It's one big thing which has to be done, and it has to be adopted. Over to you, Kapil.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. I want to take another question, Mr. Mehrotra, because this could probably be the last question. Yeah. Is that what could be the training tools or specific training module that you would suggest? Because for technology, embracing it or understanding it, it's most important to first be trained in it.
Mm-hmm.
See, there are a lot of technology tools. That, let's focus only on no-code, low-code, because if you're not non-tech person and a senior person, a management guy, right? See, there are people they love the coding, and so today, see, nobody likes it coding because so many errors they have to fix it, so many time and effort they have to put it there, understanding and all. So now, for the low-code, lot of platforms are available. It depends on you, and then you have a deep pocket, so there are tools available. I don't want to name the name here, but there are tools which are openly available, and you can easily use and build any kind of thing. My comment is on this particular question is whenever we decide this kind of technology, so objective is basically spend much less time on developing a workflow so that like I can put more energy on the other part of it instead of like just creating a one simple workflow. I like to give an example. Let's say you want to automate a billing process. You have a robotic systems are available around. But let's say you are a non-technical person or semi-technical person. So for that, again, you have to have some kind of idea. So how many touch points you want? Let's say a customer is ordering you, not you. There is a sales guy. He's ordering to sales guy. Sales guy is ordering to the feeding that system into the ERP. Then ERP is basically putting into the production and production. Then to supply chain. Supply chain is procuring the raw material and the production and transfer and then dispatch. So this is the workflow, let's say you want to develop. Okay. So for that, just imagine if I go for the ERP, how much time it takes. It will take hell of time, maybe 1 year, to basically develop this kind of workflow. And if I'm using OpenAI, which is freely available, and using my best of the best knowledge and writing these no-code, low-code workflow, it takes only weeks' time, or maybe less than. If you have good idea, maybe you can create less than. So word is going there. That's why another people are crazy for the Python, Node.js, MongoDB, Postgres. Like these are some technology people are so crazy, and everything is backend. No code, low code is using it. They make more easy. Another thing is the Flutter. Flutter is a mobile app framework, which is now basically commonly people are using it across, wherein like you can easily write both the application, iOS and Android, just compiling it. Compile one code and you can basically convert it to the native and you can be ready. Earlier, you go for it like let's say 3 months, 4 months you are spending on Android, similar months you have to spend on a, iOS application. So technology is going way beyond, way beyond. So don't be confuse yourself while selection of the unit technology. First, you see your easiness. Again, I'll use a word digestion. How much you can digest. I mean, if you have time, you can go and pick up all those technology, hire people or outsource it, whatever. But if you have internal domain expertise available and just little bit train, go for a good training, which can basically give you idea about the no code, low code. Use BI. There are so many good analytics tools are available. So many platforms are available for low code, and mobile platforms. So that way you can just plug it and launch your application without fail. Over to you, Lord.
Okay, so there are two more questions, and I will ask each of them, address one to each of you, and we'll try and keep it crisp so we can answer both of them. Okay, one is tips and guidance, Mr. Kore, tips and guidance to derive the ROI on business automation. And I think that's a very valid question, that how do you really get the ROI on something like automation, which could have a long-term impact, but short-term major cost impact?
Especially around automation, I think I did talk about is if you talk about ROI, if any application is the cash, just the basic ROI principle, forget about IT, is what is the cash inflow and what is the cash outflow. I'm not going to talk about the NPV and all. It's a very well-known formula. I think the more volume that you have in terms of how the bot or the automation can do in terms of every day, because the first of all, why we are going to do automation, because we feel it's going to save time and money, increase the accuracy, compliance, which Kapil talked about. So these are the direct benefits out of it. So the benefit has a value, so convert this into value and then see for each transaction what is the value gain. The more number of transaction, the lesser the return period of it, and the ROI will be the best. I think that is the crux of it, is if you are trying to do automation, identify a process which is stable, which is repeatable. It has a bigger volume in terms of not trying to do like 10 times a month. You should be doing it maybe 100 times a day or more. More is always better, and it will give you the best ROI for whatever investment that you are trying to do to find this technology and higher skills. So that's my input on that.
Okay, and Mr. Mehrotra, I think this is the last question. Analytics first or automation first? I know you would like both, but there has to be a first.
That's a very tricky question, actually. Analytics is everywhere required initially and at the end also. See, you cannot rule out this kind of thing, wherein without analytics, you cannot basically jump directly into the conclusion what kind of application automation you're looking for. First, you have to, it means you have done some research and you have some data available with you. That is why this thought process is coming. We have to basically plan for. So what I would say is like analytics is evolved everywhere, and generative AI definitely is the future. So everybody look for it, and we look for the better use cases so that like if you can club it together, right? Whatever data you are generating, whatever the information you are generating, and you can use it to this analytic tool like AI, and there are so many tools are available. So with the help of that, you can basically build more powerful products and the services for the organization. Over to you, Lord.
Yeah, so in short, you need both analytics and automation to succeed. It's about finding that right balance. And I think with that, we've come to an end of a very engaging session. And I thank you so much to both Mr. Mehrotra and Mr. Kore for taking out the time and being part of the first of the Techno Talks series launched by Economic Times. And what gives me immense pleasure is the fact that there are still a lot of questions. We've run out of time, but it just proves the fact that we should have more of such talks and more of such conversations going forward. Hopefully, we'll invite you to more of such sessions in future as well. With that, thank you so much for all the audiences who also joined us and participated in this very engaging, interactive session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.